Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to Bold Art, an occasion to celebrate art and design. Kohler, as many of you may know, is a world leader in the kitchen and bath industry, and design is in its DNA. All Kohler products have a strong design and aesthetics aspect to them. We have been designing for more than 140 years now, and so rightfully are proud of our legacy. Kohler has been holding art and design and industry programs wherein artists are invited to the Kohler campus and they design products for us. In keeping with the company's tradition of supporting and being involved in the art scenario, tonight too, we would like to celebrate design. We have 5 well-known architects here with us who will share with us their work in a few minutes. Why are we using Pecha Kucha, you could ask? Well, simply because creative people tend to ramble when you put them up on stage. Our format has artists show you 20 images, each for 20 seconds. At the end of the 20 slides that you will see, which is a total of 6 minutes and 40 seconds, you would have heard and seen all that the architect wants you to see. The theme of this year's Pecha Kucha is As I See It. In other words, we're looking at how a designer interprets the world around and the environment around and expresses this environment and the world in his or her work. Before I introduce our featured architects tonight, I'd like to invite the Managing Director of Kohler Kitchen and Bath India, Mr. Salil Sadanandan, to please open the Chennai Forum.
Good evening. I want to welcome all of you here this evening. As your host, my team has dictated that I be the guinea pig and that whatever I speak, I should speak in this format, which is 2020. I'm going to be open and candid about it. This is about my love life. I grew up in Delhi in my teens, very challenging place to date. My friends and I have Sriram here were very creative. They wrote poetry, they jived to Saturday Night Fever. Me, I was different. I took my girl on her birthday and I gave her what I thought was a very thoughtful gift, a pair of Bata sneakers. I wrote a very gallant note inside saying, so that you can run faster than me when trouble strikes. And she ran fast, very fast, and ran into the arms of a lead singer in a rock band. So I think you get it that I'm wired very differently. The funny thing is, I've always been surrounded by creative people, whether at work or even in my personal life. I married a published author. These are people who apparently get inspired and excited by mundane, everyday objects. I just don't get it. Let's get to the context. Consider a bathroom. For me, a very functional space. You go in, you do your job, you get out. Replace the newspaper, put the iPad, and this could well be me actually. The only toilet I really got excited was a product called Numi, which I saw online. A toilet that can warm your feet and actually play a hard rock song as you go around doing your business and flush on its own. I got very interested. You could call it the iPad of toilets. A few weeks later, I was interviewing for the company that made this product, Kohler, in Wisconsin. This is their design center. And we believe that bathing has to be an experience that you look forward to and not just a chore. It should not be mundane. And we design products around that. I've been here for 3 years, and that fantasy has sort of started getting to me too. But I must tell you, despite all the stimuli, even now when I go to a construction site, here is how I think. I say 50 floors, 10 apartments on the floor, 3 bathrooms in each house. Hey, that's 7,500 bathrooms. And what I do is call my sales guy and say, have you established contact with the architect? But I believe I'm a work in progress. I'm evolving. And to that end, I'd like to end this presentation on a somber and very serious note. Bazinga. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the Kohler Pecha Kucha Chennai show started with Krithika Subramanian. She's a renowned architect, designer, and entrepreneur. She heads a group of successful companies. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome our first architect, Krithika, sharing some of her observations or life lessons. Krithika.
I found that on Facebook. I didn't think of that. I didn't actually create that. But basically it says what I have to say. As I see it, worry is a waste of emotional reserve. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. What we do in life echoes in eternity. So the continuous answer to the question, who am I, is something that has kept me going. I think architects, as in all professionals, tend to take themselves too seriously. A lot of role play, answering the question, who am I, has helped me not take myself too seriously. I continue to experiment and enjoy everything that I do. As all Indians tend to do, I believe in God. I see all of Him in nature. I spend most of my travel, all the leisure time that I get, visiting spaces which expose me to nature. It inspires me. Music is something that takes up almost all of my free time when I'm in Chennai. Music, according to me, is liquid architecture. Architecture is frozen music. I'm a trained classical dancer, and dance, according to me, is probably the most energizing thing that activity anybody could indulge in. And I mean dancing in parties, dancing in a disco, just jiving on the road, whatever, what have you. It's not just about classical dance. Art is something that I curate, I collect, I enjoy. Every minute that I spend looking at art, surfing on the net, directly exposed to it, I think it makes life worth living, because I think life is all about art. And I believe that life in architecture is a total party. It's been that way for me for 20 years. Thank you.
We'd like to now hear from young and old, if you'd like Krithika to explain any concept to you or share your thoughts with her.
Krithika, you also mentioned that the coming century or this century, you're going to be seeing art dictating architecture. What kind of cues do you see art and literature giving architecture in the coming years?
I'm sorry, I said art is going to rule the world. I totally believe that. That architecture is an art as well, but I think it's one of the arts. Technology is just a tool, according to me. I think music, dance, poetry, literature, architecture, creation of space, weaving, what have you, all of this is what keeps the world going on and on. When you've enjoyed all your technology, what then?
Right, thank you very much. A big round of applause for Krithika. Coming up next is someone who's really tall, Korean George. And over the years, Korean and his firm have demonstrated their ability to create vibrant and energizing spaces that are conducive to creative mind work. So Korean George with a responsive approach to creativity.
As I see it, architecture, born out of a responsive process, is bound to be more natural and true to its time while not being limited by it. Good evening, friends. Tonight, I share with you some images of my work and a few thoughts which I hope will start a further string of thoughts amongst us and within me. In our work, we too take cognizance of the senses. It has been my endeavor to be agreeable to the senses by using simple forms and surfaces and natural colors. The elements used are kept as close as possible to its primordial form as the process of design allows. depending on the nature of the object of architectural intervention, the communicative responses to external elements, we contemplate the type and extent of fenestration. These include open surfaces or surfaces with openings. Such fenestrations are contemplated both on the vertical and horizontal planes. Fenestrations which provide such connection can bring in the natural beauty of the flora outside. Where the natural is absent, you need to plan it out. Projected fenestrations, which break the limits established by vertical and horizontal planes, also infuse a sense of being suspended in space. Natural light is allowed to choreograph its course, changing the feel of the place from moment to moment, lending a sense of freshness and drama, which is sought to be achieved. It has been my endeavor to make transition spaces dramatic but simple and refined so as to retain a sense of freshness throughout. I believe that one needs to feel from one's heart while letting loose the hand, the fingers of which grip the charcoal, knowing well that the head and the heart find balance in the hand that draws.
Thank you so much, Korean George, ladies and gentlemen. We now move on to Shripal Munshi. He's an urban planner, and SVA, which is his firm, is currently involved in the lead design and planning of group housing and high-end residential projects. Perhaps Shripal can share some of his insights into the process of design.
The process that we go through in design is quite similar to what an artist goes through. So you start with a concept and an idea, and then you take it forward layer by layer. And this is how it all begins. What you see on the screen is sketches representing close to 500 acres. And this is the seed, the germ of the idea. This is how the entire thing begins. Then comes in the technology. Taking that forward, I think what we see is then a point where it starts coming together on site. And this is perhaps the most important stage, because what you've been looking at and creating theoretically is now coming and unfolding month by month. And I think personally, this is more interesting than the whole process. A very interesting project, which I'm quite sort of happy at the end of it. The brief was, it was a seat, it was a piece of sculpture, it was an object, it was landscape. Inspired by nature, a 3-ton piece of granite was where we started. The first series of sketches in 2 dimension, the last row is actually a 3-dimensional Xerox printout. Drawing in, object out. And this is the future, this is technology. This is where the human interface meets with technology. Then we go to a sculptor, and we took these drawings. And if you see one of the slides, the partially finished with the 3-dimensional Xerox sitting on top. And week by week, month by month, finally, this is where it belongs. To quote Louis Kahn, I think there is a spiritual connection which is directly related to the act of creation. And this comes from being somewhere deep inside. You have to go within you and bring that forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shripal. I'm sure this has generated questions. Yes, thank you so much.
These sketches are made by you?
Almost 95% of them.
They are one of the most beautiful sketches I've seen. Because you're lucky enough to live in both extremes of the world.
Yes.
One who believes in modular, straight
Yes.
lines,
Yes.
discipline, and the Far East who believes in vernacular, local architecture. Which one do you like to live on in your future architecture to go?
I really don't have a game plan. We just take it as it comes every month. And I think every opportunity, every new project is a beautiful journey, is an adventure in itself. And let's face it, pretty much every moment of your life, you are in or out of a built environment. And that affects you. That is your influence. The context influences you, and you in turn influence the context.
Happy traveler.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shripal Munshi.
Thank you.
Our next architect is another very creative person, and she is Samana Rao. Samana will tell us how she's linked architecture to fashion, and let's really see what unfolds. Samana.
Good evening, everybody. As architects, we look for inspiration around us from various aspects of nature and man-made creations, which is in abundance. Today, I would like to show few inspirational works designed by great architects and designers. There has been a silent merger between architecture and high-style fashion. This slide shows the rigid wraparounds on a structure and the model on the ramp. Designer Zaha Hadid is very well known for her creative, free-flowing forms in the architecture world. Little do we know that she designs shoes for a Brazilian brand. Architecture meets fashion, which is fashitecture. New generation fashion and architecture share similar vocabulary and techniques like pinning, folding, tying, wrapping, draping. This building at Abu Dhabi, the Grand Hyatt, is braced with glass, as similar to the lace of the footwear. Clearly, architecture is one of the most powerful tools for achieving corporate identity in fashion world, and on the other side, these buildings are the perfect catwalk for promoting architectural creativity at its most extreme. Inspired by fashion is our project Green Athens, designed at our own city, Chennai. Architecture meets fashion. Thank you.
What is the reaction? To me, it's wow. Really wow. Sure, Samana? Our final architect is Pramod Balakrishnan. He's a 1981 graduate from the School of Architecture, Center for Environment Planning and Technology, Ahmedabad. Pramod reflects on Chennai and the city and how the people in Chennai can contribute and interact and evolve with its growth. So, Pramod Balakrishnan bringing on our Pecha Kucha last element.
I'm going to bring all of you down to earth. I'm going to talk about where we are, who we are, and what we intend to do with who we are. We live in a growing metropolis that adds to its population every day. The city has constantly extended its boundaries to accommodate this rapid growth. We now have to retrofit our unplanned city to take care of growing demands of public transport, and then wait for the city to organize the haphazard measures that have been taken by local communities. In the process of growth, we have reduced our public spaces to only beaches, compounded gardens in bits and pieces, and finally, the new animal that proliferates the landscape, the mall. We have, in this cauldron, have become strangers in the crowd. We have learned to adapt, accept, grumble about our situation. As an architect, we have limited control over small islands. What is it that we can do to build oases for the new communities, neighborhoods that are sustaining, and work environments that are habitable? My projects: a creche and health center for factory workers that break the typology and create spaces of joy and conviviality. An office in a garden. It sits abutting a junction of traffic and cacophony. Peace, tranquility, and pride reigns within, a pleasurable experience for the user and the visitor. Schools where learning happens outside of classrooms, abundant light to energize, and the landscape to soften, a break from the traditional typology of school, happy children in Nagpur. We need to create these environments in the islands that we have control of in the hope that this will sensitize the user and allow them to make the larger abode, the city, a place to change. Thank you.
Thank you for bursting that bubble. Questions for Pramod?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
As architects here, why is it that we're always concerned about how it looks? Not how it is, how it feels, how it breathes. Each and every photograph that you saw today was the building of how it looked.
It's probably because humans put the sight or vision as one of the most important faculties amongst all his.
Yeah.
And in fact, a child starts learning from seeing.
Sure.
And the brain carries up a series of images, and that's how it starts building up.
I think it's the problem of the architect to believe that the building has to look nice for it to first stand on its own. If the building doesn't have to look nice, and it has to feel nice, and it has to have something that's there within it, it will begin to look nice.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Pramod at his best. Gentlemen, and thank you to our architects who made those brilliant presentations.